going out, provided they tested negative 72 hours before arrival in Uganda, and provided the tour operators ensure that the tourists do not mix with Ugandans. How will this be done? The tourists will be driven straight from the airport to their destinations or to designated transit hotels that are set aside for that purpose. Business delegations should also be handled in the same way by local partners. The returning Ugandans who have got negative PCR results, PCR are the tests, will be allowed to go home, not stay in the quarantine, but you go to your home, and the Ministry of Health will only get their addresses for follow-up. Number 3, restrictions on the movements on the border districts are hereby lifted. Number 4, curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., which has been in force, will be maintained. But for the borders, their movements must always end at 1800 hours, which is 6 p.m. Number 5, the places of worship should open with the following precautions: individual prayers or confessions with priests or counseling with the necessary SOPs. Those are all right. When somebody is coming to confess his sins to the priest, there are few of them, they can, that one may not be a problem. Prayers and fellowships whose numbers do not exceed 70, and by observing all the other SOPs, we think these ones are safe. Night prayers and transnights are, however, not allowed. Night prayers and transnights, we don't allow those. The regular large gatherings of prayers and preachings of Sundays and Fridays will be considered at a later stage, depending on how the disease will be evolving. But the rule of the number of 70 and not more can be used on Fridays and Sundays. So that rule of not more than 70 can actually be used on a number of days. You can have some on Monday, another group on Tuesday, and Friday, as long as the numbers are 70. E, there should be no Sunday school for children. Let the enemy first go away before the children are involved in this congregating. Okwerundana, they say, the Wanyankwere call it. Six, open air activities of sports will reopen provided there are no spectators. We must learn to have games without spectators, without abatunulizi, abarorezi. We shall watch on TV. The teams can play, we watch from far. And the players, provided the players are tested for COVID-19 72 hours before. This test will expire in 14 days. So every 14 days they must test the players. Hence the sportsmen will have to repeat the test. Sportsmen and women should remember that masks should not be worn when you are engaged in strenuous exercises. B, with tournaments, teams should be quarantined for the whole season of the competition. C, indoor sports activities, including gyms, remain closed. Those indoor things are very dangerous because that's where the virus spreads. Why do we say those should remain closed? It is because the virus spreads more in enclosed spaces. Number 7, casinos, gaming centers, and cinemas remain closed. Why? It is because those activities are in enclosed spaces and are not compatible with social distancing. 8, bars shall remain closed. Why? It is because bars, apart from many of them being in enclosed spaces, which phenomenon favor the rapid spread of the virus, are not known for sobriety. And lack of sobriety is not compatible with health safety through the observance of the health SOPs. Abatamivu tebasobola okwefuga, tebasobola kwekuuma. That's why really bars, I know many Ugandans like bars, but you can get drunk at home. Just order your beer and you get drunk at home, you sleep in your sitting room. It's not good, but at least there's no, assuming that there's nobody with COVID in your house, you can get drunk without COVID. So I don't see really why people should spend so much time quarreling. Because beer is not stopped. You buy and take home. Drink there. Number 9, hotels will continue operating following the SOPs agreed with the Minister of Health. We had already addressed those before. 10, restaurants should continue to emphasize the takeaways. Indoor restaurant services should be minimized and follow the SOPs. Mobile markets, monthly cattle auction and produce markets should remain closed as the Minister of Health continues to develop the SOPs. Mass gatherings are still prohibited. Some people have been trying to use the recent NRM elections to justify their own misbehaviors. Lining behind candidates is not the same as holding public meetings. Lining behind candidates would have been done scientifically. If our people were mindful, they could have done it. Because you can line scientifically, because it is, you just line for a limited time and go away. If the organizers had been serious. But with public meetings, there's no way you can observe social distancing. If you're having a rally, how are you going to organize social distancing? A rally? How? Especially in the rural areas with the small football pitches, small open spaces, where would you do social distancing? Our Bamasaba grandchildren that are engaged in Imbalu in this month, Imbalu is a circumcision, have SOPs from the Ministry of Health that were agreed with the cultural institution. But I hear that these SOPs are not being followed. That's what I hear. There should be no processions dancing Kadodi, because those processions are the ones which result into crowding. That is dangerous congregating. The security forces, especially the police, should monitor those activities. Cases of COVID-19 have gone up in Mbale recently. There are now 107 cases reported in Mbale, and 5 deaths have occurred in that area. Ugandans, you have now tested both scenarios. Scenario number 1 was strict lockdown. We started with until the 4th of May 2020. During that time, the infection was low and there were no deaths. When we effected the interim relaxation measures, the infections expanded and the death increased.